It is Tuesday. Apparently it's April 16th. Yay! It's a beautiful day. My name is Red Moon Eagle, and you are watching Daily Devotions with Red Moon Eagle. And occasionally Astra joins us. She's my beautiful animal companion. She has a black short hair. We are in the tide of renewal, the spring equinox to summer solstice. And I will confess that I am extraordinarily hot under the collar about quite a bit of things that are happening in the world right now. And if any of the things that bother you or challenge your beliefs or challenge your perceptions of things, I always encourage you to go look them up. I am not meaning to be triggery, but at the same time, I probably am with certain topics. So that's part of the wonderful place of free speech that we have in our world, and I honor it myself, and I honor your ability to also have free speech and the ability to go look things up. Right now, we have access to public library information, and there are lots of online resources. Google is not the only place you can go. You can go to your public library online, and you can access their free information, and you can look up anything that you want to right now. That right and that ability of free speech and access to free information may not always be there. And there is an assumption right now that it is protected by our First Amendment and that it will always be there. In reality, our First Amendment rights are being challenged across the United States right now. And it's extraordinarily important that you say something, that you be involved, that you step into your power as a participant. And the reason that I say this, and the reason that I am going to probably repeat this quite a few times, is that there is a perception by many people that it's too big, it's hopeless, nobody's going to take that away. We just have to elect the right participants in politics. And the reality is that the system itself is in danger. The basic ability to rely on our Constitution is in danger. So please, please be involved. Don't just vote, be involved. It's important. We all need to step up. I'm stepping up, and I'm encouraging you to step up. Sacred self-care. Dance. I can't tell you how much dance has been so important in my life. The mantra of this card is, I feel empowered to express myself through movement, embrace my unique dance. Journal prompt, do you feel comfortable dancing? If no, why do you not feel comfortable? What is it that makes you uncomfortable? And how do you think you could work through the discomfort? I have used dance my whole life in one form or another to work through. At the time, I wasn't entirely certain what I was working through, but I have discovered through learning about vagus nerve and somatic work and ancestral trauma that dance is a powerful tool. Movement and dance is a powerful tool between chanting and drumming and song and rhythm and tapping and all the things that we do as somatic workers, as healers, as energy healers. These dance helps move through the trauma of not only your experiences, but the experiences of your ancestors that have been passed down to you. I make radical statements, but this is one that you can actually look up. There's actually research. There's sciencey research that has shown that some of the emotional, physical traumas of your ancestors can be passed down into the cells of your body, and that the beauty of that is you have the ability to heal that. You can't always just heal it up here in the mind, though. Talk therapy only goes so far. Some of these therapies require you to participate. You have to dance. You have to like get in your body and feel your way through it. Now, the beautiful part of that is it doesn't mean you have to become a famous ballroom dancer. You don't have to do that. That's not what I'm saying. But there are many forms of dance, many forms of rhythm that you can work on in your body, and you can feel your way through it. It's an amazing journey. It's beautiful. Egyptian Gods Oracle, 28. Exploration. He is represented with his arms raised with a palm branch in each hand and a smaller one as a headdress. He is called the God of millions of years. Because he is the personified infinity or eternity with respect to the deceased, he grants millions of years in the afterlife. He symbolizes individuality and the desire for inner searching. If you're going through a moment of profound crisis, have faith. Take things as they are and take your time. You are destined to evolve. It will be a slow, profound movement which needs time for you and the circumstances to reach maturity. Slowness advises you to be prudent, reserved, discreet, and patient, and have a sense of duty. This card is really important for something that I'm going to say in a little bit, so I will get back to that. Spirit Animal Guidebook. We have the beaver. He's so cute. Beaver. Hard worker, loyal, tireless family first. The beaver personality is a welcoming sight. These good-natured and dependable creatures have infinite love and enthusiasm for family and express it by way of earth element, providing a home and financial stability. Although a beaver doesn't usually initiate a project, once started, they work steadily for weeks, months, or years to see it through. The beaver card appears when the task at hand requires your long-term and steady effort. It can also signify that it's time for some karma yoga, selfless service. When in balance, happy, meaningful work. When out of balance, feels useless, worn out. To bring into balance, physical labor, selfless service. I'm going to get back to that one. Mystical Shaman Oracle Guidebook. Number 4, the beautiful way. The beauty way is both a path that you travel on a daily practice. The path is where you choose to perceive only beauty before you. Behind you and all around you is the journey through life. The practice is where you take action to bring beauty to every situation you are in. When things get ugly, you act to bring integrity and peace to the difficult encounter. When everyone else perceives only darkness, you put out the light and help uncover hidden treasures. The invitation of the beauty way invites you to create beauty in your life and to recognize the beauty inside yourself and in others. Stop to smell the roses, take a deep breath, look up to the stars and recognize the splendor that surrounds you. See the beauty in whatever situation you find yourself in, and you will receive the lesson of life that is teaching you in a kind and gentle way. The medicine of the beauty way is to stop trying to fix relationships that you believe are broken. Recognize that things are exactly as they need to be in this moment and acknowledge the inherent beauty in that way. When you understand this, you will be able to bring about the change you want. Do not engage in gossip about darkness and flaws of others. Be careful not to be seduced by the superficial beauty of a project or relationship that you're toying with, unless you're willing to pay the price for it later. Powerful card. Okay, so I wanted to get all the way back to Okay, so we've talked about trauma, we talked about that kind of stuff. He is called the God of millions of years because he is the personification of infinity or eternity. With respect to the deceased, he grants millions of years in the afterlife. He symbolizes individuality and the desire for inner searching. If you're going through a moment of profound crisis, have faith. Take things as they are and take your time. You are destined to evolve. It will be a slow, profound movement which needs time for you and the circumstances to reach maturity. Slowness advises you to be prudent, reserved, discreet, and patient, and have a sense of duty. Okay, so that's And then beaver, hard work, loyal, tireless. Once started, they work for weeks, months, years to see it through. It can appear that the task at hand requires your long-term steady effort. okay? And then the beauty way. It is a path of daily practice, not just that you perceive beauty, but you take action to bring beauty to every situation. You bring integrity and peace to the difficult encounter. Where everyone else sees darkness, you point out the light and help uncover hidden treasures. Stop, take a deep breath, look at the stars, recognize the splendor that surrounds you, see the beauty in whatever situation you find yourself in. The shadow of this is stop trying to fix relationships that you think are broken. Recognize that things are the way they are, and there is inherent beauty in the brokenness. Don't engage in gossip about the darkness. Be careful not to be seduced by superficial beauty, superficial things of a project. So, one of the things that came up this morning with these cards is something that I'm going to say that's controversial. There's a lot of, in the metaphysical world, there's a lot of discussion about the new world, the new earth, moving into a higher level of consciousness. You know, there's all this stuff going around, right? I'm not going to argue that, but I am. And this is my challenge to your paradigm. What if you're so busy working on mind-spirit things? And I've listened to them. I have listened to these podcasts. I've listened to these YouTube channels. I've listened to these orators that talk about raising your vibration, doing psilocybin, doing ayahuasca, going off and doing these journeys. And you have a huge amount of people that are doing these things to raise their consciousness, bring their vibration into the new earth. And when it comes to real world things like my First Amendment rights, my ability to share this via YouTube with you, they are not involved. You don't see them involved in anything other than discourse. They are only doing things where they're talking about their mind. They're not going out, they're not joining organizations, they're not in the mess in the middle. And what we're finding is that those that are living in a fear paradigm, those that get violent and angry and their discourse is very fearful, they have a riot, those are the people that are involved. And they're involved because they're afraid. I challenge us to look at today's cards and look at the hard work. Who says, bring the integrity into the work. Beaver, which is, let's just keep at it. Let's not give up. Let's not lean back on our laurels. Let's not assume that the work is done. And the beauty way, let's find the beauty in the journey. The beauty in connecting with amazing people who are very passionate about our rights. I'm going to point out that I joined a women's organization recently because I'm I want to have the ability to use my voice and use my voice in an organization that continues to contribute to women being able to have a voice. And walking into a room where I'm not exactly the youngest generation. It's not like I'm 20 still, right? Like, there's so many younger people that could be sitting in that chair besides me. But I'm the one that's sitting there in a group of women that are closer to my mom or my grandmother's age. And I think I'm close to the youngest one that was there. And I'm not ashamed of that. I am excited about getting all the women I know to join this organization across the United States. Why? Not because it's a political year, but because it's a political year. Because it is a year of, if we do not start stepping into the work and honoring the beauty of the potentiality of our work. And if we can't see outside the fear paradigm, we're not going to get change. And right now, in the metaphysical spiritual world, when you go out and you look at reels and memes and shorts, and you're looking at the media that's out there, there is a lot of just raise your vibration, just be positive. There's nothing out there saying the new world. Well, actually, there is a lot out there saying that the new world is you can't be involved with people who are going to think negatively, that are going to talk about war, that are going to be involved in this negative discourse and these arguments. There's nothing out there saying that you can use that positive recognition of the ability to engage, heal, use your somatic work. I've been using my body's awareness and work through Body of 9, through vagal nerve exercises, through somatic work, through a little bit of talk therapy, but I've been doing a lot of movement therapy in my work. And I do a lot of energy healing, but I can't tell you how many times recently that I have had these very interesting things that bubble up in session that, well, it started happening probably about 2 years ago. And that's probably why it's so odd for me, is that there are things that are coming up in session where there is action being needed, and action as in involvement, not this abstract, we just want to have a discourse, this mind. So if you look at the wheel, I'll pull my wheel out. When you look at the wheel, people are talking about body, mind, spirit, but they're not talking about emotion. They're not talking about the emotion side of the wheel. There's 4 things in the wheel. It's not just body, mind, spirit, but body, mind, spirit, emotion. And body, mind, spirit, emotion is then community all the way around. The community connection is essential. We're doing all this in the metaphysical world, especially in all these discourse and all of these things that are being talked about. The psychic is like, oh my God, this terrible thing is going to happen. Or to go into the new earth, if you're left behind, you're just going to be stuck in this awful, miserable, horrible paradigm. Okay, as somebody who is extraordinarily sensitive to time shifts and energetic shifts, and I understand this language. Every single time something shifts, the push, the energetic, it's not almost like an energetic anxiety, if that makes sense. To be involved is more and more significant. And that significance, that cohesive, immersive feel to be involved, has become so overwhelming that I have been seeking out what to do because I don't know what to do. And I encourage you to find the thing to do. I suspect, based on some of the things that have come through recently with readings, I did a tarot reading for the first time actually the other day for somebody. They really, really wanted me to pull the tarot. And it was very, very interesting. The tarot cards were, there was justice, world. There were a couple cards that were all about, you have this ability to be involved, you need to do this. Like, your anxiety is basically what the tarot cards were saying, and her guides, between the two of them, they were like, half of your anxiety is you're refusing to acknowledge that you need to go out and be involved. And cool beans, I didn't know this, but apparently her mother was a judge and had retired, and her mother has all these connections to all these people, and she actually knows so many people that she could be involved in and starting the discourse. And as soon as she realized that that was the direction, she thought, she had a perception. She shared that in her perception, that her anxiety was because she had chosen to be in massage and alternative medicine, right, healing medicine, that her anxiety was because she chose that path, it was because somehow she had to use that path to engage. And I went, okay. And we talked our way through it, and she had this amazing aha moment. I don't know how to explain it any other way. And I got her permission to share this. An amazing aha moment that her family connections, these relationships that her family has developed over 100 years, basically, is her aha moment, the relief, like the flush of the release of all the anxiety that had been building over months and months and months, and this has been building for actually probably a couple years, was that yes, she looks at the world a little differently through alternative medicine, through yoga, through alternative healing and energy medicine, but she's still friends with all of these people that are involved, that are really fighting hard to protect our rights and are feeling helpless and overwhelmed and not supported. And she has these amazing tools, and she has a voice with this group of people, and she has a lot of know-how. She can actually be involved in these things. And she had been getting these nigglings about needing to move to closer to the capital of her state, and she didn't understand why. She was like, why would I move to the capital of my state? And this is why. She needs to go, not only be able to be there for her healing and her services, but also because she knows how to navigate and have a voice in this circumstance. Not all of us have that. This is her unique experience, but all of her anxiety left. And I have had 3 texts from her since then about this amazing corner that she turned, and understanding the direction she needs to go was because her perception of being a spiritually connected energy healer, metaphysically minded, spiritually connected, higher I'm going to use the quotation marks, the higher vibrational being, is that she shouldn't be involved in all that messy, negative, dirty political stuff. And that's not the case. We look at politics as dirty for a combination of several reasons. One, correct, probably a lot in many cases, is that politicians can be very corrupt. They do take bribes. They do take, lobbyists too. They take a lot of money to, you pay them to advocate for you. So the political system has become this very negative, icky place, right? That's a real thing. The other side of this is that if you've been conditioned to think that all politics is bad, what would incentivize you to be involved? So they want you to think politics is bad, but they want you to vote. They want you to be involved and vote. But there's only so much you can do if you're terrified or you think that creating discourse in this arena is dirty and negative and not of a higher vibration. Of course you're not going to want to be involved because you're conditioned to be afraid that it's going to lower your vibration and somehow you are not going to be an enlightened higher being in the process. Are you not seeing how the discourse around these topics has been conditioned for you to be afraid to be involved, to minimize your power? I've been minimized. I totally have. There was a dialogue that I grew up with that, well, women have the right to vote, they have the right to have an abortion, they have the right to all these things. So now you just need to go out and live your life, do the things, and at the same time, don't be loud, don't stand up, don't have an opinion, don't be straightforward, don't call anybody out on the contradictions. And I did that for decades. At the same time, a deep-seated, visceral feeling of helplessness and wrongness about it. and I'm going to tear up because I am very passionate about it, because I have felt this anxiety and this helplessness of, I am supposed to be, quote unquote, this strong, self-advocating woman that has done all these things, and yet I'm not being heard, I'm being silenced, I'm being told to not be too big in a room, I'm told not to speak out, I'm told that I can't affect change. This is wrong. And I mean wrong as in, I am not the only one that has experienced this. And there is a perception by many white women, and I'm gonna say it, that, well, we have our rights, why should we be involved anymore? Why should we stand up and say anything? And this is where you end up with a group of women that are sponsored by a lot of money and a lot of angry white men in other organizations that are being loud and angry and triggering this fear about losing our rights as mothers, or this very twisted perception, and it is to pit women against each other. I watched something that somebody sent me, and it was this woman who I genuinely believe that she thinks she's advocating for women. I do. I can see it, I can hear it, I can sense it. But she's terrified. And when women are standing into their power for the sake of power, you're following the paradigm of someone else. Stepping into your power for each other and bringing women into community so that we can stand together. That's what I want to see. I want to see us work through this toxic, us above the other, one being better than the other dynamic. It's toxic, it's not moving us forward, and it feeds into this anxiety and this paralyzation so that you don't be involved. And when you go back to bodily trauma and coming from our generations of our ancestors, if you think of the suffragette movement, if you think of all of the women who marched, who were beaten, who were oppressed, who worked so hard to gain our rights, at the same time, there were women at home, there were women who were fighting in the trenches of everyday life, that trauma was felt in their bodies, given to their children, their grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren. And I am having to work through this fear in my body that responds to some of the dialogue that's going on. I am having to work my way through the tears, this felt sense of helplessness, this felt sense of not being heard, and I have to work through it. And part of working through it is also being able to come onto YouTube, use cards to work through with you and share this journey. And I'm doing it because it's important for all of us. It's not just my journey, it's our journey. So today, find the beautiful way, find the beauty of the journey. Work hard. Beaver is telling us you can do it. We got to do it together. And says we have to do it with integrity and purpose. And there is a potentiality of generations moving forward with the hard work you're doing now. This is so important. Go out into the world. Find a nonpartisan organization that speaks for your rights. There is a book banning organization that's nonpartisan. Join your library organizations. They are nonpartisan. Join your school boards. They may be partisan, but be the nonpartisan person in the room. If they ask you what your political beliefs are, don't pick a party. And start screaming and advocating in your states about nonpartisan cross-party voting, because many primaries, like in the state of Montana, If you vote across party lines, your vote is thrown out. I have had that reinforced so many times, and it makes me so mad. Get involved, people. Make politics non-partisan. Start looking at what people are forcing you to vote for. Because that's what's happened. It's happened right in front of you. If you pick one, we've heard about it. We've heard about it in the news. We've heard about it on social media. I see posts all the time about, how do I pick between the lesser evils? I'm just not going to pick it all. That's what they want. And I say they as in people of power that don't want to give up their power, and people who want to take away your rights. There is a movement right now trying to change the Constitution of the United States and rolling back amendments that have been put into place in the last 100 years since the Civil War. There are movements in the United States to take away your First Amendment rights and your ability to access information on the internet, in your library. Go read a book. Go read an audiobook. There's an I'm gonna list some books over the next month. I have a whole list of them. I'm going to share them with you. Find a way to be involved that's fair, honest, anchored in your body, and work your body's anxiety through these things. Dance is so important. There's a couple YouTube channels that are all about ecstatic dance. Just turn on a YouTube thing, prop up your computer, plug yourself into a speaker, and wiggle. Wiggle alone, or wiggle with your husband, wiggle with your kids. Have you ever noticed the joy that children find in music? Go back to find the joy of music and let your body move. It's important. It helps you connect into your natural number, your activation. It helps you connect into the healing power of releasing all of that stuff that's trapped in your body. When you sit in front of a computer all day long, you're not moving your body. When you're not getting outside every day, I talk about it all the time, all my daily devotions, all the way back. I have talked about moving, get moving, charge your water, charge your drinks, charge your food, drink water that's charged, charge your food, breathe, do big breath exercises, move, and honor when you need to rest. These are the 5 pillars. I talk about them all the time, the 5 pillars of self-care. And by the way, I am getting closer on that manuscript, so yay. I know that because I had somebody message me recently, and a private message on YouTube, and she was a little upset, I think, that, well, I don't know if it's a she or he, because the little thingy doesn't say. Oh, somebody messaged. The card is exploration. Is that the card you're asking about? G star? I had somebody message me that they thought that I've been getting a little political, and I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm not going to, and it probably sounds like that. I want to see equitable and fair resources for all people, and I would like to see that each person's bodily autonomy is recognized, whether you choose to have your tubes tied, whether you choose to have an abortion, whether I would also like to see the scam of insurance companies be completely demolished and taken apart. I would like to see that if you choose to go to a chiropractor, you can. If you choose to go to a naturopathic physician, you can. A licensed one from one of the actual colleges that have produced naturopathic physicians. Or if you want to go see somebody that practices herbal medicine, I would like to see you do that. I would like to see acupuncture recognized as a valid way of pursuing. And if you choose, say you have cancer and you choose to go see an alternative medicine practitioner, that you can do so. I would also like to see that allopathic medicine or traditional medicine there's actually a new organization in the United States that was founded after COVID of practitioners that are starting to work together and look at the problems that are in medical, the research on finding medicines, and the research that is very biased and has leaned mostly towards men over the years. And people are starting to, there are a lot of opportunities to have a voice, and complacency and being in fear of being heard, or being afraid that the aggression that's coming out from some of these fear-based groups keeps you from moving forward, or that the perception that you're a single mom with 3 kids and you don't have time. There are community resources now in many places that you can come together through resource sharing, and maybe there's a mom who has the ability to babysit a couple kids, and then you can trade off and both of you can be involved. There is a lot of opportunity for involvement, and I no longer wish to participate in a fear paradigm where someone tells me that I can't have a voice, that I'm too big, that I'm too loud, that I want to change it too fast, that we have to do it the same way. Because those are not true statements. And I encourage you to also work through your somatic generational trauma about these topics. There's a wonderful book. I'm gonna load in a book list and some resources that you can look up. This is important. And it probably does sound like I've tipped into the political arena with daily devotions. But let's look at the cards today. You can dance your way, you can work through your somatic trauma release. Beaver says it is hard work. And Beaver also knows that it's okay to not be out front. I really don't want to be out front. I don't want to be the one leading the charge to anything. I hate that. I have had experience after experience after experience of being a quote-unquote leader. It is so uncomfortable and I do not like it. And I know why. I won't share with you why, but I know why. And Beaver is the medicine that I need to lean into to overcome that. And which is integrity and honesty, and knowing that the work that you do now lasts way out, the many lifetimes of opportunity of changing this for the better. And the beauty way. We don't have to look at this involvement as a fear-based, awful thing. Look at the beautiful framework that we have. The framework is you can stand out on the street corner and gather a crowd and soapbox. Do you know where that term comes from? It's an amazing term. Stand on your soapbox, get on YouTube, make a reel, do something on Facebook. The armchair warrior it sounds like a really negative term, but it is a negative term in the sense that if you feel like you're trapped and you can only be involved through a screen or only from your couch, and you are feeding into this fear paradigm, well, that's beautiful too, because you have the right to do that in our country. That's called freedom of speech. The next step is the beautiful connection that we can make by coming into a space of recognizing that we all have the ability to do that, and we can find the joy in expressing and honoring everybody's trauma and everybody's journey from whence they came from. Being involved doesn't have to be scary and full of fear. Being involved can be beautiful. It can be uncomfortable, but it can be beautiful. Okay, I've gone on. I've tried wrapping this up twice. Have a beautiful day, my friends, and I will see you in prayer. Blessed be.